Fighting out of the red corner, wearing the black trunks with pink trim, he stands 5 feet 9 and 1/2 inches tall. He weighed in at 11 stone, 5 pounds. He holds a professional record of 32 victories versus 3 losses, with 19 of those wins coming by way of knockout. And he fights out of Liverpool, England. Introducing the former British Commonwealth and WBO World Champion, is Liam Smith. And his opponent, fighting out of the blue corner, wearing the white trunks with red trim, he stands 5 feet 11 inches tall. He weighed in at 11 stone, 5 pounds. He holds a professional record of 32 victories versus 2 defeats, with 23 wins coming by way of knockout. And he fights out of Brighton, England. Introducing the former British IBO and WBA champion, is Chris Eubank Jr.
So the introduction's complete. Liam Smith and Chris Eubank Jr. both remove their gowns and make their way to centre ring for the final instructions.
Okay, gents, you know the rules. Obey my commands at all time. Defend yourselves at all time. God bless. Touch gloves.
British boxing bloodline set to commence battle here at the Manchester Arena as Chris Eubank Jr. and Liam Smith engage in an enticing encounter. World-class professional boxing here on BBC 5 Live and BBC Sounds as we await the opening bell.
Seconds out, round 1.
This duel between world-class fighters from domestic boxing dynasties is underway. 12 3-minute rounds in the middleweight division between Chris Eubank Jr. and Liam Beefy Smith. Chris Eubank Jr., the slightly taller of the two boxers, 5 feet 11 inches tall, against the 5 feet 9.5 of Liam Smith. Chris Eubank Jr. with a slightly longer reach. He's wearing white trunks trimmed with red, and it's Liam Smith wearing black trunks trimmed with pink. Chris Eubank Jr. in the space of centre ring fires out a double left jab from around his kneecap, followed by a right cross. His hands low, a relaxed guard being proffered. Liam Smith, as is his wont, peering between high-held gloves. Both men circumspect and on the edge of range. Liam Smith fires a right cross into the body. Chris Eubank pushes down on the rear of his head, and the two men lock horns at figure 8 on the clock face, if you consider that our position is in between figures 5 and 6 here ringside at the Manchester Arena. That's a solid left hook landed into the body by Liam Smith near figure 7 on the clock face. Referee Victor Laughlin separates the two men, and the action resumes with a minute gone. Both men just on the edge of punching range, standing right on top of the logo. Liam Smith bobbing and weaving in the pocket. Chris Eubank Jr. on the back foot and looking to flick out a feather-light left jab. Not the ferocious punch picking in the pocket. Solid left jab landed by Chris Eubank was a rapier-like left. Liam Smith countered immediately. Two world-class fighters locked in concentration as Eubank looking to dance to his left and land a left jab. And when the two boxers came into range on the inside, shoulder to shoulder, Liam Smith landed a clever right uppercut on the bearded chin of the shaven-headed Chris Eubank. Beyond the midpoint of this opening round. And even though Liam Smith is renowned as a front foot pressure fighter, a consistent puncher, there is plenty of craft and guile behind his pressure, his educated pressure, and he does a lot of things that the untrained eye perhaps won't be able to discern. But he's very much, look at that, bobbing and weaving in the pocket, making Eubank miss. And then he tries to respond, but then Eubank with good movement from the waist, causing Liam Smith to miss. But Liam Smith kept the attack going and used his weight to drive Chris Eubank Jr. back to the neutral corner on the far side of the ring. Final 30 seconds of this opening round, and it's Eubank electing to box principally off the back foot. Liam Smith in centre ring, disappearing between his gloves, shooting out a left jab, and now the two boxers locking horns on the inside. And we talked about whether the natural size of Chris Eubank would be a factor, but it was interesting to note that Liam Smith walked Chris Eubank back towards this blue corner on the near side of the ring during that clinch at close range. 10-second clapper is imminent here at the Manchester Arena. Closing seconds of this opening round, a rather cagey round, with Chris Eubank flat-footed and on the back foot, not launching the explosive clusters that we associate with him at his explosive best. And Liam Smith just fixing his man with a glare before sauntering back to the red corner. Cagey first 3 minutes, Steve Bunce.
Cagey and tense like we expected. I think Chris Eubank let his hands go a little bit too much and missed 5 or 6 times with those 2 or 3 flows. It's going to take him a while if he's going to find his range and settle down and land the type of stuff that he lands. I think Liam Smith's fighting a very good fight. I know we're only 3 minutes in. I know it's only been touch at the moment. I've liked everything I've seen so far, Joe, from Liam Smith.
Yeah, there's no quarter given there. Obviously, when they're getting up close, Eubank Jr. is resting his head on his shoulder, not allowing Liam Smith get to work. But it's the first phase coming in. Eubank's picking a little flicky jab. Liam's then coming in with a solid jab, and then Eubank then is retreating all the time. Like I say, Liam Smith was on the front foot, and he was letting Chris Eubank know he was in for a hard 12 rounds tonight.
And not being manhandled, Ronald. Not being manhandled.
So we go into the second round of an all-domestic middleweight duel that has really captured the imagination of the fight fraternity. Action is at centre ring as both men exchange jabs. Liam Smith exploding out of a crouch, landing with an up jab as left-right combination landed by Chris Eubank Jr. He's lashing out a left jab from around his belt line, and the right hand that followed was a bolo shot where the palm was turned upwards to the ring lights. Double left jab and then a right cross as Chris Eubank Jr. up on his toes now. There's that same combination once again while skitting off to his right. Left jab, right hand around the corner as Liam Smith gets up close, claims his man, and applies a bit of an arm bar with his forearm in and around the chin of Chris Eubank. Chris Eubank Jr. with a pot shot right hand and then spun off to his right to ride a right hand that Liam Smith fired in. There Liam Smith looks for the same shot once again with Eubank pinned on the ropes just above our commentary position at figure 6 on the clock face. Referee Victor Laughlin hasn't called time, but he's placed his hand around the rear of the neck of each boxer and he's saying to both of them, clean this up. You're world-class operators. Let's show these fans here at the Manchester Arena all of your boxing ring craft and intelligence. Double right hand, left uppercut missed from Chris Eubank, and then a right hand was bombed over the top and landed by Liam Smith, but a terrific up jab from Chris Eubank Jr. And remember, it was that jab that he used so effectively to send Liam Williams to the floor in his last outing at last year. So Liam Smith trying to crowd his man at figure 3 on the clock face. Eubank bobbing and weaving before claiming Liam Smith and walking him back out to the space of centre ring. Chris Eubank Jr. composed, pursing his lips, and then scores with a left hand to the body, an exploratory left hand which found a range. Liam Smith feinting on that front foot, stepping with it before backing out of range. Now bobbing and weaving as Chris Eubank looks to find a range with a single jab, but both of the singles he fired out from the kneecap were off the mark. Eubank voluntarily retreating to his blue corner on this near side of the ring. Applies the front foot pressure by shooting out a jab, and there's a sharp shooting right cross which came behind the jab from his kneecap, which landed. Left jab in response from Liam Smith. Right hand over the top attempted by Liam Smith, and then Liam Smith into the chest of Eubank once again, leading in, boring in with his head, and he put the heel of his glove into the face of Chris Eubank also. All of the veteran experience being demonstrated by Liam Smith during that coming together, and as a man who made this house famous, Ricky Hatton used to say, this isn't a tickling contest. Chris Eubank Jr. looping shots around but not much accuracy as he's firing hooks in a wide arcing angle and uppercuts from his knee with his right hand, but he didn't find the range on any of his attempted punches. Right hand over the top was followed by a short left uppercut which did land for Liam Smith as Chris Eubank bent over at the waist trying to evade the overhand right. Final 10 seconds of this second round. Sharp shooting jab once again. He's flicked out 3-4 times from Chris Eubank Jr. Countered by a single jab from Liam Smith. Chris Eubank Jr. in his own blue corner once again. Right hand over the top followed by a left hook. Missed from Liam Smith. And Chris Eubank Jr. just ends the round after making Liam Smith miss with a shoulder shimmy. Eubank busy with his lead left in that round, Steve.
Busy with his lead left in that round, still missing with shots wildly. Liam getting close, not letting his hands go, because he knows if he lets his hands go and miss, he could get caught with something, either a backhand or a big wild swing. I tell you what I am really concerned about, about cuts. I'm really concerned. There's too much action. There's too many wild Eubank shots, elbows, shoulder and head. I just hope Liam doesn't find himself with a cut that changes the course of the fight.
And listen, it's not that Liam's not prone to cuts. He's been cut quite a lot during his career. Obviously they're coming together.
Absolutely.
The forearms are in, the heel of the glove, like you say. The heads are coming together a little bit. I thought Chris Eubank turned up for the fight in round 2. After fight round 1, he came out, landed a really good right uppercut and landed the better punch in that round.
So it's round 3. What happens now, Joe?
So into the third round we go in this battle between two incredibly experienced operators. Left jab fired out by Chris Eubank, who followed it up with a right uppercut, but the right uppercut was off the mark because Liam Smith backed up. But as Liam Smith stepped forward, he walked into a terrifically timed lead left hand once again. Chris Eubank incredibly relaxed with that lead hand, swaying it like a pendulum around his quads, and then shoots it out. And because Liam Smith was coming forward, the impact was doubled up. Liam Smith launches with a right cross and then looks to manhandle Chris Eubank in his own corner on this near side of the ring. Chris Eubank Jr. looking to keep his head out of harm's way. So too is Liam Smith, as the two men claim each other around the waist. Referee Victor Laughlin just had to step in between the two boxers, and now it is just on the edge of range once again. The action approaching figure 4 on the clock face as Eubank just backing up almost incrementally towards his own blue corner. Now he changes direction, moving to his right in counterclockwise fashion. Fired a speculative left hook, but was off the mark by some distance because of a clever move in the pocket by Liam Smith. And now the two boxers just approaching the perimeter of the boxing ring. Solid left jab landed by Liam Smith, as Chris Eubank looking to draw in Liam Smith and explode with a rapid fire counter either from the lead left hand or the backhand, which is locked and loaded. Double jab success from Chris Eubank Jr. Liam Smith thought about firing a right hand over the top but didn't fully commit to the shot, and the two boxers just standing at the edge of long range, feinting, trying to draw that lead that they can counter. The concentration almost visceral here at the Manchester Arena. The crowd in a concentrated silence when you consider that it's sold out to a capacity approaching 20,000. This isn't a blood and thunder affair, as a right hand to the body followed by a long left hook to the head is landed by Liam Smith. But this, a thinking contest between two boxers who have placed their top flight careers on the line. Both men still harbour ambitions to contest 4 world titles, as Liam Smith lands with a right hand countered by a left jab in response. The first one got through. Jabs 2 and 3 were blocked by the gloves of Liam Smith as he's peering between them, but then an up jab did get through, as did that up jab as well, followed by another up jab. 3, 4 trip hammer left jabs flicked up from the quad by Chris Eubank, and they're perhaps coming on an angle that Liam Smith is finding difficult to discern. Then a right uppercut brought into play with his back near the blue corner, neutral blue corner turnbuckle from Chris Eubank. Terrific portion of the round for him. There he looks for the right uppercut once again, and he let his hands go twice, and now bent arm flurries being fired in by Chris Eubank Jr. in ferocious fashion, standing flat-footed and digging away with a right uppercut, and the gloves may have partially blocked them, but they still registered with sufficient force by Chris Eubank Jr. Then he turns a right hook around the corner, and there's another flashing right uppercut once again from Chris Eubank Jr. He followed up with a left hook, but it was off the mark. But in the closing 30 seconds of this third round, Chris Eubank Jr. beginning to demonstrate the right uppercut out of his repertoire, and he had success with it, Steve.
You know, they're still crashing through, and maybe something's being taken out of them, those short right uppercuts. Then there were a couple at the end. Liam's getting himself into position, but he knows, unless he's guaranteed that his short shot will land, he's going to get countered, he's going to get hit. Eubank just finding a bit of distance with that left and screwing the shot up and dropping the shots down. Still a bit wild, but the last 20 seconds there was not particularly good for Liam Smith, Joe.
No, Liam Smith round 1 came out, head movement, slipping, rolling. Round 3 he was coming in a straight line, 2 square on, attempted to jab, and Chris Eubank Jr. was beating him to the jab. Liam Smith was throwing the odd single right hand, leading with it, but was walking onto the jab. He's looking at the time Eubank over the right hand. When they get close, Eubank Jr. is tying Liam Smith up, putting his head on his shoulder, and he's not letting Liam Smith go to work. Liam Smith needs to come in, he's coming in straight lines, just needs to come out on either side and make Eubank come out either side.
So into the 4th round we go, between two boxers who are members of some of the most prominent fighting families in British boxing. The Eubanks and the Smiths. Add to that list the Hattons, the Finnegans, the Mackenzies. So many outstanding fighting families have graced this magnificent sport, and here on this stage at a capacity-filled Manchester Arena, it is Chris Eubank Jr. who just grabbed the momentum in the closing stages of round number 3. And the right uppercut, such a prominent punch in his arsenal. Remember, he had elbow trouble, which prevented him from throwing a right cross for a portion of his career. And the right hand over the top, and then another left uppercut. And Eubank is down in the blue corner, and he is completely gone. He gets up, but his legs are gone. Victor Loughlin giving him every opportunity, but Victor Loughlin now asking Chris Eubank to walk towards him. 2 minutes remain, and Chris Eubank Jr. facing the most desperate crisis of his career. He simply can't maintain his boxing stance, and Victor Loughlin has pulled it off. And Liam Smith has produced the biggest win of his career, a devastating 4th round stoppage, penetrating the low-held defenses of Chris Eubank Jr. And Chris Eubank Jr., his chin was checked, and for the first time in his professional career, his chin was found wanting. And once Liam Smith had Chris Eubank Jr. going, he was relentless, and he continued to find Chris Eubank Jr.'s wide open, unprotected chin. Chris Eubank Jr. took a trip to the canvas, and once he rose back to his feet, well, his legs were unsteady, and Liam Smith did not let him off the hook. Liam Smith has prevailed in this grudge match between members of some of the most prominent fighting families ever seen in Britain. And Chris Eubank Jr. stopped for the first time in his career. A brilliant performance by Liam Smith, who grabbed back the momentum after being put under pressure by the uppercut success of Chris Eubank Jr. in round number 3. But Chris Eubank Jr. stands a defeated fighter in his own blue corner now. And to the spoils go to Liam Smith. A terrific win in this crucial contest at middleweight, Steve.
You know what? That was a scintillating, shocking and devastating ending. I'm not sure I've ever seen an ending like that, coming like it did, as such a shock. That was quite sensational. And I'm going to just say a big praise to Joe McNally, who jumped in to stop Chris Eubank taking any more punishment, because he wanted to carry on fighting. Liam Smith didn't need much encouragement. We'll need to see that in slow motion, the last 2 minutes of that fight, Ronald. That was simply sensational.